Conversation, and I'm super honored to be speaking to the founder of Netcore, who actually wrote this book that I'm really excited about the title, Startup to Proficorn. I love that word. And so I welcome Rajesh Jain to the stage. Thank you so much for being here with us. So, how are you?
Nice to be here, and congratulations on your amazing success.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope to get to your success someday. But no, you guys are really incredible, and I'm super honored to have you here. So first, I'd love for you to give us a little bit of an introduction on you, your journey. I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. So, I went to school at Columbia. This trip happened. This trip happened because I'd come to drop my son to undergrad freshman, and then we had all these events here. So it's great to be back in New York. And I then became a serial entrepreneur after returning to India. I worked 2 years, and then I went back to India. I failed for the first few years, trying to do different things. This was way back in the early to mid 90s. And then I came across, it was based on my own experience. Internet was just starting up that time, and there was a gap in providing information to Indians outside of India. So that was my first company, first successful company, India World. So I built that in the late 90s. So my wife and I, we were 20 people together, and I got to exit at the right time. I have a story in my book of why, and many of y'all are either entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, why it's more important to know when to exit than just when to enter. So I sold my business at the peak of the dot-com boom at 166 times revenue. So $115 million deal, mostly all cash. And then I started Netcore, and Netcore is 25 years old, and you'll hear a lot about it, lot about us later, shortly. And so my journey really has been as an entrepreneur. Couple of good successes, 30 plus failures, as typically happens in an entrepreneurial journey. I keep trying new things. And so that's my journey.
I love that. And in terms of the book, like what inspired you to write it? And yeah, I want to know more about the book.
So the typical belief when someone's building a company is you got to go out there, raise lots of capital, give up a lot of equity, give up control, give up freedom in some ways. But yet the reality is that almost 99.99% companies actually are bootstrapped. So we don't hear about them because they don't grow. You take the mom and pop stores, which are all there. They're all run by entrepreneurs. And I have done this twice, where I've built companies to scale without raising any external capital. So in 30 plus years actually as an entrepreneur, India World was my first company, Netcore. Netcore is now $100 million plus in ARR, in recurring revenue. And we've managed to do it without raising capital. And I thought this story needs to be told. So I was at a Silicon Valley conference, at a SaaStr, in the Valley 2 days ago, and everyone there is about raising lots of capital, trying to grow big. Founders own very little equity, and many times if you don't grow big, you just sell and move on. And I said there's an alternative model. I gave a talk there 2 days ago, and it's really about the word Proficorn in there. And it's a word I coined a few years ago to have for companies like us. Everyone knows unicorns. That's what everyone talks about. And I said there's nothing to describe companies like us, which are private, which are bootstrapped, which are profitable, because that's the only way to build a business if you're not raising external capital. You got to make money every month, and which then scale. So what's a model for that? How do you build such types of companies? So I've got my journey in there, lots of learnings through my 30 years as an entrepreneur, and plus a few other entrepreneurs. And I think the timing is very good. Everyone wants to talk profits now. A year ago, no one wanted to hear the word profits. It was just revenue, growth. And that's the story of the book, basically, that how can entrepreneurs build companies at scale without necessarily raising capital? And also, how can you bring in the entrepreneurial mindset? So many of us also become intrapreneurs in large organizations. How can you bring that entrepreneurial mindset in what you are doing? Because you're running maybe small businesses, but you have a lot of freedom. How can you remove the fear of failure? How can you think big in what you're doing? How can you essentially build great teams? A lot of these ideas, but from a context of my own experiences through the years.
I love that. And I like what you said about just like, thinking big and thinking outside the box. Because they always say, right, it takes as much effort to dream small as it does to dream big. So why not dream big, right?
Absolutely. I keep telling people that the odds for an entrepreneurial venture to succeed are less than 1%. Yet an entrepreneur, and you're an entrepreneur, Jordana, an entrepreneur believes that they have 70% chances of success or more. And that's what is required to get us going. Otherwise, you won't even start. And the key really there is that the drive and passion of the entrepreneur is in going out every day and reducing the risk of failure. Because the odds are so high of failure. And how can you do that? And when you don't have external capital, really from the first month, you've got to think of a business model which generates money. And it's not just future billings, it's about cash flows. It's about building a team which is passionate about the future. So I think if we can get this model out there more to people, that look, it's possible to build big companies and bootstrap them. I think we'll get this Proficorn movement going, like you're doing with Fashion-Novation.
I'm on board your movement. I already have a passionate team, but I'd love to, I'm definitely going to read this book. So, and what's the next big idea for you?
Okay, so Proficorn is the word I coined a few years ago. I'll leave you with one more word for today. Profipoly. Profits monopoly. So the best way to really build a business is to have a moat which leads to a monopoly. Because otherwise profits can come and then go. You face competition all the time. So how can you search for that blue ocean in the red ocean? And in that blue ocean, build a business which basically has exponential, forever profitable growth. And especially in e-commerce now, all businesses are pretty much, you have to have a big digital component. I think there's a lot of interesting innovations coming up. So one of the reasons why many digital businesses don't make money or don't make a lot of money is because of the cost of new customer acquisition, CAC. Everyone's complaining. I mean, I meet a lot of CEOs, CMOs across the world. One of the big challenges is really that the cost of customer acquisition is a killer, and it's growing up 40, 50% year on year. So what can be done about it? And in many cases, the solution does not lie in necessarily trying to optimize the cost, because most of that money is going to Google, Meta, and the other companies. And there's very little you can do to optimize. The real opportunity lies in building deeper relationships with existing customers, removing the frictions which are there in the conversion funnel. And what's very interesting now is that there are a number of innovations which are there, which can actually help you do this. For example, we've got physical twins out there of potential customers. Can we imagine digital twins of customers? So digital twins are used in manufacturing and in construction. But if you can have a digital twin using AI, of course, of every customer, you can then predict next best actions. So there's a higher probability of giving the right recommendation for conversion. Pratik, my colleague, will talk about an idea which I think is going to stay with you for a long time, the idea of inbox commerce. Today, the assumption is that if you have to sell, you've got to get people either to your typically to your website, or in some cases, the app. But what if you could convert customers right inside the email? What if you could search inside the email? And you've probably never seen this, and you're going to see this probably for the first time today. The idea of velvet rope marketing, where there's 20% customers, 60% revenue, probably 200% of profit. How do you calculate lifetime value right and create almost a separate business unit for your best customers, like banks do, like airlines do. So these customers are disproportionately profitable. So all of these ideas link to the core theme of maximizing lifetime value of existing customers. Because the more you can make from existing customers, the less is the dependency on expensive new customer acquisition. And the greater is the probability that you can actually build a profits monopoly. And do that right, and you have your profits engine, which you can then reinvest for growth, for innovation. And that's the best way to build a business. I think the CEO of J.C. Penney said in an interview last year, I think after taking over, that I'm done chasing new customers. I want to love our existing customers who love us. There's a great quote by the person who created Net Promoter Score, Fred Reichheld, in his book, Winning on Purpose, where he says that, and he's got a metric, very interesting metric, earned growth, which basically measures how much you make from your existing customers, and referrals, which is again very important. And the point basically he makes is that the best way to build a lasting business is to get your existing customers back and get them to get their friends and family. And I think this is sort of the core foundation for building Profipolis. And I hope while some of you all become entrepreneurs, all of you all should be thinking how you can get a profits monopoly, a Profipoly in your business.
That was amazing, right? Small group. Well, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward. I know we're going to have Pratik, right? Show us a little bit. And again, all of you are going to get a copy of this book. So you're incredible, and I really am very, very inspired by you and your story. And I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you very much. And I hope you all will read the book and give me feedback on what is it that I could have written better and which ideas stick with you. Thank you.
Thank you.